TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, Erev Tov, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu travels to New York for his annual address at the United Nations General Assembly. Dozens of Israel Air Force aircraft launch retaliatory strikes against the Houthis in Yemen. A flotilla of far-left activists claim Israel had struck their vessels with 12 one-way drones. Iran's proxy, Ansar Allah, which is dominated by the Houthi tribe in Yemen, has launched multiple projectiles toward Israel in recent days, one of which, a one-way unmanned aerial vehicle, managed to penetrate Israel's aerial defense array, striking a busy promenade in the southernmost city of Eilat yesterday.
A report was received regarding a strike by a projectile in the center of the city of Eilat. Upon receiving the report, large forces flooded the scene, to include police bomb disposal units, border police, and police officers. We arrived at the scene, cornered it off, distanced curious bystanders, facilitated medical evacuations, and asserted control over the scene. We are currently investigating the scene and returning it to its routine.
3 civilians were airlifted to Soraski Medical Center, 2 of them in severe condition, and a third classified as moderately injured. 18 additional Israeli civilians sustained light wounds. Meanwhile, the Iranian proxy Ansar Allah claimed responsibility for the attack, with its spokesman, Yahya Sariyah, dubbing the targeting of Israeli civilians as successfully achieving the operation's objectives.
The drone air force of the Yemeni armed forces carried out a significant military operation using 2 drones targeting Israeli enemy targets in the area of Eilat, south of occupied Palestine. The operation successfully achieved its objectives, thanks to Allah, while the interception systems failed to counter it.
The Houthi spokesman continued by praising the Islamist terror groups in the Gaza Strip, proclaiming that Ansar Allah will continue to fight alongside them from afar. Meanwhile, the IDF announced earlier today that dozens of Israel Air Force aircraft guided by IDF intelligence struck military targets belonging to the security and intelligence apparatus and the military of the Houthi terror regime in the Sana'a area of Yemen. Among the targets struck were the Houthi General Staff Command headquarters, compounds of the terrorist regime's security and intelligence apparatus, the Houthis' military public relations headquarters, and military camps where weapons and military operatives of the Houthi terrorist regime were identified in the Sana'a area. The IDF spokesperson's unit further stressed that the strikes were carried out in response to repeated attacks by the Houthi terrorist regime against the State of Israel and its civilians, including the launching of unmanned aerial vehicles and surface-to-surface missiles toward Israeli territory. Turning to the Gaza Strip, where IDF Chief of General Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir held a tour and situational assessment in southern Gaza City, during the course of which he stressed, quote, "We're operating in the Gaza Strip with a large number of troops, with a focus on striking Gaza City to create conditions for the release of the hostages and for Hamas's decisive defeat. The IDF strikes powerfully and precisely. All of its capabilities are at the disposal of the troops. We will continue a systematic and thorough advance while ensuring compliance with all security rules." It is important to note that IDF divisions 98, 162, and 36 are pushing forward from different directions, to include from the northern, eastern, and western part of Gaza City, eliminating hundreds of Hamas terror operatives and successfully destroying military infrastructure, which the Palestinian terror groups had erected, both above and below ground, in the dense urban environment. Moreover, and in contrast to international alarm, the majority of the residents of Gaza have safely left the city southward, where designated regions flooded with humanitarian aid have been erected by the IDF. And while the Israeli military is pushing onward against the Islamist Hamas, a flotilla of far-left activists is trying to make its way toward the Gaza Strip with a declared goal of breaking Israel's naval blockade on the terror-ridden enclave, which, according to senior security and political officials, includes no more than a sinister anti-Israel PR stunt. Meanwhile, in an attempt to dissuade the activists from facing yet another confrontation with Israel's navy, the Israeli Foreign Ministry called on the flotilla activists to transfer the humanitarian aid, which they so nobly seek to deliver Gaza via Israel's Ashkelon marina. A negative response, however, soon followed.
We were sorry to hear the response of the Hamas flotilla representative, saying they insist on pursuing a violent course of action, and they refuse our proposal to transfer any aid they might have for Gaza via the nearby Ashkelon marina. We say again, if your intentions are sincere, please transfer the aid to Ashkelon marina so we can forward it to Gaza in a peaceful manner.
Meanwhile, as the flotilla continued its transit toward the Gaza Strip, the flotilla activists claimed that their vessels had come under attack from unmanned aerial vehicles. While they reported no injuries and nominal damage to their vessels, they have called upon the West to respond vigorously. Juan Boldera Roma, who is a known far-left radical MP in the autonomous Valencian community of Spain, stressed that he was using his access to draw a response.
I am an MP in Spain, so I can reach some political levels that are not available for normal people. And I know that there are being straight communications, direct communications with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of my country, Spain, that also joined this kind of alliance, kind of coalition with 16 other countries like Turkey and Brazil and Indonesia and Malaysia, saying that if the flotilla was attacked, they are gonna, I don't know, say something or do something, but we don't know, at least for now, we don't know what kind of actions are they planning to do. And I think this has to escalate further and further and reach this kind of European Commission levels, because this needs to be tackled, coordinated with all the countries, or at least in Europe.
Response from Spain did not delay, with Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez announcing his decision to deploy a Spanish naval vessel to escort the anti-Israeli flotilla. However, the Spanish premier did mention that the Spanish Navy vessel will merely rescue the activists aboard the ship rather than engage the Israeli military.
Hace escasos días, el Ministerio de Asuntos Exteriores junto con...
Just a few days ago, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, along with 15 other countries, or 14 countries along with Spain, issued a joint declaration in which we conveyed to Prime Minister Netanyahu that we would, of course, diplomatically protect our fellow citizens, as it could not be otherwise, and therefore we are going to protect them politically. In case they face any difficulties, our nationals and members of the peace flotilla can be rescued by this ship.
También los integrantes de la flotilla de la paz.
It is important to highlight that Italy has already deployed 2 naval vessels towards the flotilla, with Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni noting that negotiations with the radical left activists were ongoing.
Adesso, Ministro Tajani, che è qui.
Now, Italian Foreign Minister Tajani, who is here if you want for further details, is working on another mediation proposal, which is to deliver this aid to Cyprus, to the Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem, who takes the responsibility for delivery. It is a proposal which I think it is a proposal that seems to have the support of the government, the Israeli government, and of course the Italian government. We are awaiting a response from the flotilla.
Prime Minister Meloni further noted that the Italian naval vessels were sent to ensure, if necessary, rescue and assistance for those in danger, even if the use of military force is not expected. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu traveled to New York ahead of his anticipated address to the United Nations General Assembly.
יוצא עכשיו עם רעייתי לעצרת האו"ם.
I am now leaving with my wife for the UN General Assembly and Washington. At the UN General Assembly, I will speak our truth, the citizens of Israel, the truth of the IDF soldiers of our country. I will denounce those leaders who, instead of denouncing the murderers, rapists, and child burners, want to give them a state in the heart of the land of Israel. This will not happen. In Washington, I will meet for the fourth time with President Trump and discuss with him the great opportunities that our victories have brought, and also our need to complete the goals of the war, to return all our hostages, to defeat Hamas, and to expand the circle of peace that is open to us following the historic victory in Operation Rising Lion and other victories that we have achieved. This is also an opportunity to wish you, the citizens of Israel and the entire Jewish people, a happy new year. A year of security, prosperity, and peace.
שנה של ביטחון, שגשוג ושלום.
Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. Please continue to pray for the speedy return of all hostages in Hamas captivity, as well as for the troops now operating in the Gaza Strip as well as elsewhere, and for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. Moreover, if you're blessed by our productions, which are exclusively donation-based, please consider supporting our ongoing operations. You can donate via our website at www.tv7israelnews.com. I'm Jonathan Hessen, wishing you an Erev Mevorach, and God willing, until our next update, Shalom from Jerusalem.